Be here now.
For that, we have to go to India, to Allahabad. Allahabad is the government seat of Uttar Pradesh, which is the largest state on the continent of India, on the country of India. And my guru, my spiritual teacher, was having darshan, meaning he was sitting in a room and a lot of people came to hang out with him because it felt good. And so there might have been 40 of us in the room, some Westerners and a lot of Indians. My guru was sitting there and he said, he was talking to different people about things, just kind of randomly. You just sort of sit there and you just hang out. It's like sitting in honey or something like that. It's really tasty. And he was talking to this older gentleman and he said, Ram Dass used to be a great professor at Harvard, a very important man, and he built me up. Now, if you knew my guru, who had one water pot and a dhoti that kept falling off him and lived in culverts under roads, he was hardly somebody impressed by any of that crap. But he was milking it like it was like, and Ram Dass is this, and Ram Dass is that, and he was doctor, and you know, and the man was getting more and more impressed. And Maharaji introduced this man to me, and he was the head of the Supreme Court of Uttar Pradesh. And the head of the court said, perhaps you'd like to visit the court. Now, I grew up in a family of lawyers, and I didn't come to India to go to the court system of India, which is, it's all nightmare to me. I mean, that's a hard world. I honor you that are lawyers. So I, of course, didn't want to do this, but I was very well trained in my parents' knees, so I said that would be very nice. Figuring someday. So the man says, tomorrow? So I said, it's up to my guru. Okay? I figured he'd save me. Maharaji says, if Ram Dass says it would be very nice, it'll be very nice. And he looked at me like this. He like, don't screw around, baby. So, okay. So I went to the court. And there was a murder trial with 3 judges sitting there, and I felt all of that and went through that. And then I ended up in the, in the room of the lawyers, who were all wigged and with their robes. And they surrounded me because I was from the States, and I was new in the room, and I was being escorted by the chief of this court. That helped. And they started to question me about Nixon's China policy, which had just come in at that moment. Now, I had read Time magazine, so I was totally knowledgeable about the deepest truth of this topic. So I said everything I had learned in Time, and they were deeply impressed. As I said it with the authority of being brought in by the Chief Justice, you know. So then I was sent back to my guru, and I came back, and he said, so what happened at the court? He's like he's sitting with the women out in the kitchen, and what happened in the court? So I started to tell him, and he keeps filling in information. So obviously he knows. So then he just kind of dismisses me. Later in the evening, there's a darshan, another darshan. And there's a man sitting in the back, and I'm sitting in the back, and he looks just like a spy print. If you've ever seen the spy print of lawyers, they're sort of caricatures with the long ears and the long faces and the long nose and the barrister look. And he said to me, I wondered if you would like to speak to the Rotary Club of Allahabad. And also to the Bar Association. So, I mean, I didn't come to India to go on the cream vegetable circuit. I could do that here. So, and I didn't want to do either of those. And I remembered what happened the other day. So I said, no, I don't want to do either of those. But I said, but it's up to my guru. So the lawyer and I went up to the guru. The lawyer said, I'd like Ram Dass to speak to the Rotary Club and to the Bar Association. Maharaji acted as if the most wonderful mitzvah had fallen from the skies. I mean, you want him to speak at the like now we're going to be in, I mean, it was like the Rotary Club, the bar, and he called people in. He says he wants him to speak at the Rotary Club and the Bar Association. So then Maharaji looks at me and says, what are you going to talk about? So that hadn't entered my mind yet. So I said, law and dharma, meaning the spiritual laws and the human-made law. Acha, very good. So then he said, are you going to speak about Hanuman the monkey? Well, Hanuman is the Ishtadev, or the divine form for the army in India. It's on all the flags, Hanuman, because Hanuman is the aspect of the route to God that goes through service. In fact, my name, Ram Dass, means servant of Ram, which is another name for Hanuman, the monkey. So I am of a monkey sect, basically. So he said, you're going to talk about Hanuman? I said, oh, sure. He said, are you going to talk about Christ? Oh, I said, absolutely. I saw how I'd bring that in. And he said, you're going to talk about me? I said, well, you're my guru. Of course I'm going to talk about you. So the lawyer interjects. He said, well, we rather thought Ram Dass would speak about Nixon's China policy. Maharaji looked appalled. You wouldn't trust him to speak about something like that. Ram Dass doesn't speak about those things. Ram Dass speaks only about God. I said, yes, that's true. I only speak about God. And the lawyer says, well, I'll tell you, maybe I'll just have a few people into my house one evening. I don't think it would be appropriate for the Rotary Club or the Bar Association. Now, that was an interesting statement. I don't think it would be appropriate for the Rotary Club or the Bar Association. Now, what happened was that story stuck in me, and thousands of times when I've been giving lectures, I'm in the green room back there being neurotically nervous. And I hear Maharaji saying, Ram Dass speaks only about God. I think, well, that's going to be simple. But the fact is, I'm about to deliver an address to a group of business entrepreneurs. And I had planned to talk about sustainable consumerism. Now Maharaji says, Ram Dass speaks only about God. Now I have about 2 minutes to figure out how to say what I was going to say, but also say it speaking only about God.
Just be here now.